Alright, welcome back to the SuperCoach Enough channel. In this video we're looking at the round 25 review. And a good week for us with 1,386, which was good enough for top 4% for the round. And as you can see, it's elevated us into the top 2,000. So that was the goal. A few weeks back we were trying to target that. I guess the challenge now is to hold that because there is a couple of key outs this week. But yeah, I guess two league wins as well. I just found out one of the leagues I actually had put in some money for, and there's $200 for the winner. So in the grand finals for that. So I was a bit flat last week with SuperCoach, and then this week it's come good again. So as we look how the team went, so Harry Grant with the 59, that's solid enough. I didn't see any of the games this weekend, apart from I did get, or parts of, I should say, the second half of the Dogs Raiders game. But it was a big sort of weekend, and I sort of fell asleep there at one point. But, the Dogs weren't going that flash anyway. Tino with the 63 is solid. Tohu with another 92. Pretty sure he scored another try, which was nice. Joe Tarpany with the 97. So, yeah, he was the one I was always keen to play because, yeah, the way the Bulldogs middles have been defending, a player like him could absolutely tear it up, and he did. Dave Fafita with the 79 and Jermaine Hopgood with the 74, so solid returns there. Obviously used the loophole captain, got a nice VC score out of it in the end. Brett Nickero with the 57, was probably the best option of our bench forwards. You can see Marnie got a 48. Clyde Matungi 52, and Dan Russell with a 45, you might be able to see there. So we'll bring in the back line. Nathan Cleary, so he was our captain. So in the end, we did end up getting a nice little boost from subbing him out, but 93 is a solid captaincy score for him. SJ with the 60, probably hoped for a little bit more over in New Zealand against Manly, but that's fine. Kalen Ponga, so 91, was involved in a lot, apparently, particularly in the first half. So yeah, surprised he didn't turn up, but that's fine. Matt Burton, obviously on their bench, but 64 was a decent return. And then our centre wings, so solid all round. Sarko with a 70, Manu with a 70, Garrick 68, CNK 61. But unfortunately, we missed out on the 120 from Greg Marzu. So I know last week I was filthy because he didn't get a sniff of it, and Munster did the job. And then unfortunately this week Marzu went massive, and Munster did no good. If that was the way I went last week, I'd still be in the big cash league. But that's how Supercoach goes, I suppose. And as I said, now that I've got a sniff of, I guess, getting my money back at least that I've invested across the board, I'll hit it hard. Kiraz with a 61, he's solid. We like him. And then Tedesco was our VC, and he went off 125, and then unfortunately, sounds like he had a bit of a head knock and probably misses this week. So, not ideal. He was up against the Tigers this week, so he was a big part of our plans, but we may need to reconsider said plans. And Latrell with a 57. So, a lot of people were sort of tossing up between Ponga and Mitchell, and it was depending on who you thought would win. Excuse me. So yeah, I saw a few people back Ponga in with the captain, a few less people, but more brave going the trail. And also he might actually be done for the Supercoach season as well. He's looking at a little one-game ban for a brain explosion there. So, like I said, it's head-to-head finals. So we're going to use these two trades up. We want to try to win some cash. And it looks like the two that we're going to miss the most is Latrell and Teddy. So with Latrell, we were always going to swap him out for Reece Walsh. That was a given. So we'll lock that trade in and just have a quick look at Reese. So playing the Raiders here, GIO. So it's in Canberra. They must just put their team there. I thought that was the home team. So playing down in Canberra, but I think again the Bulldogs probably flattered the opposition there against the Raiders. They were probably in for a big one too after bouncing back against the Storm, but yeah, they were far from convincing, I suppose. And then we look at Reece Walsh's ability to go big. He's got 4 tons this season or 5 tons and a 99. A couple other 90s there. There's been a couple of games where he's been flat, but I guess we'll risk it for the biscuit. But yeah, he's always the one I've wanted to target for these last 2 weeks. He's got the Raiders this week and then the Storm in Brisbane, so not the easiest run. And you can see he hasn't had a lot of success against them in the past, but he's a different sort of prospect at this time of his career. So that's the first move. I can already see a few trades here. That's convenient. Yeah, so we've got little trial. And as I said, we probably want to look at offloading Teddy. So we have a few options. Scott Drinkwater's just out of price range, so that's a bit unfortunate because I think the Cowboys have a nice run. They got the Dolphins at Suncorp. Oh, the Penrith at Bluebet, maybe not. Not the best run. Dylan Edwards. This is the sneaky shout I really like at 523,000. So playing Para and the Cowboys both at Penrith. And it looks like Para's sort of given up a little bit. They've just run out of juice. And the Cowboys, they haven't been overly convincing recently either. So, yeah, we've definitely got Edwards up our sleeve as a nice option. Nick Meaney is another one that's interesting because we look at his draw. He's got the Titans this week, and the Titans have sort of been um, not the best defensively. They've been up for it in attack, but yeah, SuperCoach, you're worried about the opposition defense more so. And then the Broncos, so it's good for this week, maybe not so much next week. And if we're trying to keep that top 2,000 overall, you know, not the best option. I guess as well, because he's centre wing, we've already got heaps of fullbacks that can slot back in there. So we probably want to target the position as best we can. Um, After that, you can see it's getting real sort of pod territory there. We don't want any of them. The other option, though, is we can swing Caleb Ponga back and get in another gun 5'8". So obviously Cody Walker's on the bye this week, so not really an option. Cam Munster would be the one that we look at, and I guess we just talked about Nick Meaney's draw. Munster obviously has identical draw. And I believe that both my opponents in the head-to-head grand finals this week have Munster as well. So it might be a bit of a play to sort of try and just smother them if we need to. Um, Dylan Brown, he's the pod sort of 5'8" option, but obviously Parramatta only have Penrith this week and then the bye. So, you'd be pretty brave to pick him at this time of year. We've already got Joey Manu as well. So what we could even do, and particularly if Tedesco's out this week, you just assume Manu goes back to fullback and, he's a chance of going massive against the Tigers. And we can load up on another centre wing pod. So, we talked about Meaney. Herbie Farnworth, is in the same sort of category as Reece Walsh in terms of opposition. Um, we'll see. We have got Greg Marzo as well, so we can always play him. Brian Tyler, I've been massive on him. So is it that we bring in Brian Tyler instead of Dylan Edwards? It probably just depends. He did miss last week with an injury, so we just have to keep an eye on how that goes. Someone like Bradman Best as a super pod sort of option. He's been going really well. He's got the Sharks, who are to be fair, are playing a bit better. But then the Dragons next week, there's a chance for big points there. So yeah, plenty of options with this last trade. I don't have it. Oh, I do have Dan Russell as well, so I can go anywhere in the forwards too. But I'm chasing upside, so really I am looking in the back line here for my last trade option this week. But probably what we'll do for now is we'll just cancel it. Um, but see how Tedesco pulls up. Obviously, if he's playing, we do want to keep him, and then because we've got 137,000, I don't think we can quite do Kiraz to Toto because he's in the 700s, isn't he? Yeah, 775. Yeah, we can't get any forwards out because we don't have the extra swing. Yeah, so we'll work it out. But I guess in terms of if this is the team that we roll with for the GF, Payne Haas is back, so he's definitely in. Tohu's been back in form. Who do they play? The Dragons. Yeah, pretty keen to play all of them, to be honest. If anything, I'm probably happier to sit Nikora and bring Marzu in. Playing against the Sharks. The Sharks are back in form, but the Knights are just so good. And I guess, they showed against South that if they need to, they can go around sides with Kalen Ponga down that left edge. Um, the Sharks, was it their right? No, I think it was their left edge defence that suffered. So Newcastle's right edge, but that's fine. I think we definitely, because looking at all five of these guys, really, Asako against the Cowboys, he's most likely to do something for them. And as I said, the Cowboys haven't been fantastic. Reuben Garrick against the Dogs, yes, that's a big tick. Miracle Clockstart against the Dragons, big tick. Joey Manu, especially if he's playing fullback, that's a massive tick. So I think that's how the side is going to line up. Probably who plays last out of the forwards. Newcastle, Bulldogs, Manly. So Payne Haas anyway, or Joe Tarpany. One of them can sit on the pine. And then I guess the obvious VC shout would be Cleary first up against the Para. Although Johnson against the Dragons is nice as well. So I think whichever way we decide to go there, that's the VC option. And then for our captaincy, I mean, if it is that Tedesco plays, I'd probably back him in to do the job. If not, could I back Walsh? Might just swing it back to Ponga. He's been in such good form. And part of it as well is we would have to match up with our head-to-head opponents, but I might talk about that a bit more in the round preview. Just I guess once we get a bit more information, as I said about Teddy's status, and sort of I guess the game updates that it shows the actual head-to-head opponent there and that sort of thing. Because currently, if I go there, it just shows this week's results. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So yeah. So once it defaults to round 26 after teams have been listed, we'll go from there. All right. But yeah, as always, if you've got any comments, feel free to chuck them in the video below. If you enjoy the content, remember like the videos, subscribe to the channel. I'm dangerously close to 90 subscribers now, which is epic. I think I might have picked up a couple with the FPL content. Going to keep that coming. Also going to try and get some more NFL stuff out there. I've sort of just been a bit busy, and because the season hasn't started yet, I've put it on the back burner. But it is fast approaching, so I'll definitely be getting into that in the coming weeks. And other than that, as always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.